Good morning. We got us a funky jam going on. Woo, woo, woo. And look at this. Anna renewed her membership. Can we all please give a round of applause for Anna? My goodness. And don't forget, there is a playlist, members only. And you are going to see a lot of funny stuff, things that we don't talk about on the flip side. V. Oakley gives it a thumbs up. Yes, V. Oakley gives it a thumbs up. She likes the funky tune. Before I get to it, she's not in here, but I want to give a special shout out to one of my besties. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give you guys a few clues. She lives in Ireland. She has coined the phrase, and I'm going to do it in her accent. Oh, here they would cut you chin to cunt. She has blonde hair, and she is one of the most amazing people in the world. Does anybody have any clue who I'm talking about? Because today is her birthday. Look at that. V. Oakley knows who it is. Woo! Happy birthday to our amazing friend, Denny, also known as Gaelic Girl. And for those of you that have 8 quarters and are members, set your reminders. Make sure you're subscribed. Those of you in the bushes, whatever you got going on, getting really irritated with YouTube unsubscribing people. And I'm speaking from a personal standpoint, not so much about my channel, because somebody comes in and they're like, oh, I wasn't subscribed. But I mean, there's channels that I follow. You know, the people that have the paper towel rolls and they make big nutcrackers and stuff out of them. And I'm like, no, hold on, where old girl go? And I'm trying to find it, looking for some Valentine crafts and stuff. And I'm like, I know I was subscribed to her. I know I was. Then I'm looking for something else, someone that I know I'm subscribed to. And I'm like, hot dog, they did it again. So not just this channel, whatever channels that you like to watch. I'm sure this one's your favorite though, right? Just make sure you're subscribed. It costs nothing and it helps the algorithm, and it helps you because then, you know, you get reminded when shit goes down. Now, let me ask you, anybody ever had an ex that just wouldn't give up? For some reason, even though sheets have been split, you're done, you're over, he's moved on, she's moved on. They have some sort of deep-seated resentment. They're jaded about something, and they just feel like they still have some sort of possession over you. Anyone? 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 Duck Lady said, yeah, she had to get a restraining order. Yeah. And this guy, he went off the rails. Now, everything that we heard in the last few shows and everything that you've heard on other podcasts, poop, poop, throw it out the window, rear view window, done, over. Because what was put out is part of the case. It is definitely part of the case, and we're going to explain why today. Hey, look, there is nothing wrong with saying, I think, I heard, nothing like that. But when the facts come out, can't be ignored. Let's take a second and tell everybody good morning. And we're going to go ahead and say happy birthday to Denny again. Now, I will say this, you smart little think tanks, you. A lot of you from the get said it's the ex. It's the ex. Because they were technically, well, they had been dating, I read in an article, not in comments, not on the Facebook, not on the Twitter, not on the Instagram, in an article, that they had begun dating in 2012. They got married, not in 2012, a few years later. And then 7 months later, she's like, I'm out. Now, I did read in one of the Facebook groups a woman that knew them both in Virginia. She worked with him, and it can be verified. I believe her. I have no reason not to. And she said Monique was very quiet, but she was extremely homesick. She didn't like being in Virginia while he was doing his residency. And she didn't want to be there. Question is, and it will come out, no shame, no victim blame here. There is a lot of speculation, and again, it will come out that they were still friendly with each other. For some reason, he had it in his noggin that her and Spencer's oldest child was his. Well, the only way for that baby to be his, well, I think we all know how babies are made, okay? And for two people that have no children together, that divorce, even though from the outside it seems amicable, it took a long time to get resolved. Also, when they went to get married, he told her she had to buy the wedding rings. So, I mean, that might be a bit of a red flag. I don't know. But let's get to it, because he has been charged with double homicide. Stacy said, come on, Brooks, explain how babies are made. Shh, I'll tell you in secret.
The Wineland Park community coming to terms tonight with the news of an arrest in the murders of a local dentist and his wife. Thank you for joining us at NBC4 at 11. I'm Delaney Ruth. Today, police have confirmed an arrest in the murders of Spencer and Monique Tepe. It's a case that garnered national attention. Police say this man, 39-year-old Michael McKee from Chicago, is responsible. He is Monique's ex-husband. McKee is in the Winnebago County Jail in Illinois after police tracked him down. He's accused of killing Spencer and Monique Tepe in their home on North 4th Street in Columbus's Wineland Park neighborhood in the early morning hours of December 30th. The couple was found hours later after Spencer did not show up for work at his dental office in Athens. Police found the two dead from gunshot wounds. Two children under the age of 6 were found unharmed in the home. NBC4's Lexi Lepoff has the details.
Those poor babies have been orphaned. And why? Because Dr. McKee is a damn psycho? Why? I mean, no motive's going to be good enough. But of course, people are going to have that question mark, like, what would make him park down the street, walk down, get into their house, and obviously Spencer is the target. I mean, did he think that he was going to kill him and Monique would be like, cool, now we can be together? So I'm sure she's screaming, no, then she gets one too. It's psychotic is what it is. It's narcissism 101. Maybe he felt that on. Doesn't matter. Does not matter.
Around Michael McKee's arrest and reaction from the neighborhood the Tepes lived in.
This is the Wineland Park neighborhood where Spencer and Monique Tepe were found shot to death in their home. Now police have arrested Monique's ex-husband. Neighbors here say they're relieved.
I'm sure most of us are going to sleep better tonight.
A neighborhood on edge, now finally getting answers in the murders of Spencer and Monique Tepe. 39-year-old Michael McKee now charged and arrested for the crimes. Court records show he and Monique divorced amicably in 2017 after less than 2 years of marriage. They did not share any children.
It is really heartbreaking. So I'm glad that we're getting justice for them, and I hope we get more justice for them.
An affidavit says Columbus police were able to identify McKee from neighborhood surveillance video. Just last week, police released this clip, asking neighbors to send any video they have. President of the Wineland Park Civic Association.
And they did. So even though certain people close to the family said, no, that has nothing to do with it. Get that out of your head. Get that out of your head. It would be safe to say that people would assume that somebody had been told by law enforcement, yeah, that's out there, but it has nothing to do with it. That's not the case. That's not the case. They're saying that's him. Now, I've heard two different stories. He went to the door and he was let in. Okay? That's one story I've heard from an article, not social media. And that there was a basement window open that he knew about and he got in that way. We'll find out.
Association Tanya Long says everyone she knows in the neighborhood tried to help.
And people were wondering how this could happen to such a wonderful family that the neighbors had nothing but glowing things to say about.
Police then tracked a vehicle they say arrived at the Tepe's home on North 4th Street just before the couple was killed, and then left shortly after. That vehicle was linked to McKee. Police found it in Rockford, Illinois, Saturday morning, where he was then booked and charged with 2 counts of murder.
I hope that justice is served to the full extent of the law, to be honest, because there were babies left behind.
Amid the heartbreak, Long says the neighborhood is trying to find some peace. She says the association is doing everything they can to support the Tepe's 2 young children.
We want to start to focus on healing now. We want to be the kind of community that makes sure that everybody is okay.
The arrest comes during an emotional weekend. A funeral and a celebration of life for Spencer and Monique Tepe is Sunday. Local for you, I'm Lexi Lepoff, NBC4.
The family of Spencer and Monique Tepe are sharing a statement tonight on the arrest of Michael McKee, thanking law enforcement and the community for their tireless work, saying, quote, as the case proceeds, we trust the justice system to hold the person responsible fully accountable. Monique and Spencer remain at the center of our hearts, and we carry forward their love as we surround and protect the 2 children they leave behind. In the early days after the Tepes were killed, there was speculation about whether Monique's ex-husband could have been involved in their deaths. Now, as Lexi mentioned, the 2...
A lot of you from the get-go said, it's the ex, it's the ex, it's the ex, it's the ex. My hat's off to you, you super sleuths. You obviously have a nose for this.
Forced in 2017. We've learned McKee went to undergrad and medical school at Ohio State. According to the obituary for Spencer and Monique Tepe, they both graduated from Ohio State as well. Reports show McKee is a surgeon licensed in Illinois and California, and he was previously licensed in Nevada. Now, he was listed as a surgeon at OSF St. Anthony Medical Center in Rockford, and OSF Healthcare says it is cooperating with authorities. McKee has no criminal record besides traffic tickets. He does have a court date scheduled for Monday afternoon, which is likely an extradition hearing to start that process of getting him to face charges here in Ohio. Well, news of an arrest comes the day before a visitation is scheduled to honor the couple. It's happening tomorrow at Schettinger Northwest on Zollinger Road from noon to 3 p.m. That's followed by a celebration of life at Duamici on East Gay Street in Columbus from 3:30 to 6 p.m.
Plead the Fifth said, I wish they would make some kind of college fund for the kids. Oh, they have a huge GoFundMe. They have a huge GoFundMe. So again, it's all going to come out. So either he really held a flame all this time, or what her friends are saying, that they were still friendly with each other, like they still communicated. I mean, they say that the divorce was amicable and they remained friends. Woo! 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 And it happens. It happens. It does. So what do you think? Do you think he really went in the basement window, or do you think he went, oh, hey, it's just McKee, come on in? I don't know. But like I said, it'll come out. Damn it.
Let's put it that way. By using something as simple as connecting the dots. But no investigation, especially a homicide investigation, is ever that simple. And I'm sure if you would get a chance to speak to the Columbus, Ohio Homicide Unit, they would tell you.
And there you go. Facts, not feelings. Thank you, Jinbug. There was no forced entry. There was no forced entry. There's also speculation about different parties that the couple had. And it could have been that he was pre-planning this and was like, well, everyone's busy playing bunco. I'll just go down to the basement and make sure there's a window unlocked. I really do believe he pre-planned this. I really do. But he didn't do a very good job. Parks down the street and walks right in front of all the cameras. You know? I mean, this is a heinous, heinous crime. A heinous crime. Hey, NRX45er, how did you get your YouTube name? Because that's a really cool name. Yeah, I think it's definitely premeditated. All right, our buddy Bill is talking about it. He's been on this like white on rice. Or brown on rice, depending on what kind of rice you eat. Or yellow on rice, again, depending on what kind of rice you eat.
How difficult this case was. But guess what? These are professionals. They do this for a living. And I just also want to mention the patrol officer that went to the wrong location. Everyone wanted to beat him down. He made a mistake, and I'm sure he was spoken to about that. He was put out on blast across this nation, and it makes the department and him not look competent. But he made incompetent, I should say. But he made a mistake. And look, he's going to go to thousands of calls over his police career. He's going to save people's lives over his police career. He's going to do some wonderful things over his police career. So let's not, I even said this was a knuckleheaded move, but we can forgive him because we also realize now this is a copy of the complaint report. And everyone was very concerned about what time did this happen. Well, this complaint report dated 12/30/25 says the time of the offense was.
Well, I mean, the officer that went to the wrong house said, no, I'm not going to beat him up because humans make mistakes. Okay, humans make mistakes, but I'm just going to point out his last name is Wiener. Okay, so Wiener pulled a Wiener move.
3:52 a.m. Remember, they narrowed it down from 0200 to 0500. Well, for some reason, they believe that this is the time of occurrence. So how they know that, I don't know that yet. We will find that out at some point. But so now they have it narrowed down. So the people that were concerned that the welfare check that occurred at 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, that if he didn't go to the wrong house, he could have saved their lives. No, he couldn't have. They were shot at 03:52 a.m. in the morning. So the naysayers out there and the internet trolls that want to beat him down and call the police incompetent, everyone makes mistakes on this earth. That was a big one. Yeah, it was. I'll admit it was a big one. But guess what? It didn't have the effect that many people put out there that, oh, he could have saved their lives. He couldn't have. because they were dead at 03:52 in the morning.
Can y'all keep a secret? There's 127 people in here. By the way, we need 127 likes. 127 likes. Let's get to hitting that like. Yesterday, when the news broke that George Cole Jr. decided to check into hell early, I called Cato County, the county jail, to ask, did he try to check into hell early? I didn't see nothing. I didn't see nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm sitting there going, bitch, it's all over the news. It's all over the news. So you never know the rhyme or reason when you're dealing with somebody with a badge. You don't know. Sounds like in this case, though, Wiener made a Wiener move.
So on December 30th, 2025, neighbors and family became concerned when Spencer, a respected Columbus dentist, failed to show up for work and couldn't be reached. A friend, alarmed by their small children crying in the home, called police for a welfare check, and this is what we're talking about. Officers found both Spencer and Monique inside their Wineland Park home, dead from gunshot wounds. Their children were unharmed. Now detectives quickly focused upon video from the neighborhood and surrounding streets. Footage captured a vehicle of interest arriving shortly before and leaving shortly after. The likely time of the murders. Investigators tied the vehicle to Michael McKee, who had a previous relationship with Monique Tepe. They were married years earlier and divorced in 2017. Law enforcement then tracked that same vehicle to Rockford, Illinois, where McKee was located and arrested on January 10th, 2026. He now awaits extradition to Franklin County, Ohio, to face 2 counts of murder. So very, 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 very interesting. So yeah, you see on the thumbnail on the screen, a door-to-door canvas. I mean, did this video that the police recovered, did it just pop out day one? No. I bet you they did a lot of knocking on doors, a lot of watching video.
I think they did a lot of gumshoe detective work, is what I think. And I think they already had the dots connected, but one dot they couldn't connect. But they had a really good idea who could have done it. So when certain people said, oh no, he has an alibi. Well, he does have an alibi. If you want to know the truth, he has an alibi. He was parked down the street, walking down, caught on camera, went in the house and went pew, 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 pew. Yeah, that's his alibi. That's his alibi. He's charged with double homicide. He's a psychopath.
But this neighborhood, I've never seen so many houses have Ring cameras, have video. And we stated very early on that video was going to come into play in this case. And usually it did. It came into play. You know, folks, this is Police Off the Cuff. If you like real crime, true crime from a police perspective, you're in the right place. And please like us, share, and make lots of comments. That helps our algorithm and it helps our show grow. In fact, we're knocking on the door of 100,000 subscribers largely because of you guys.
Well, congrats, Bill. But he's exactly right. Okay? The officer made a mistake. Wiener made a mistake. Doesn't change the fact afterward because, well, they are deceased. Then you have people questioning, why did he leave the children? Well, I'm glad he did. I'm glad he did. But of course, in their speculation, and her friends are talking in a lot of these Facebook groups that he was under the assumption, or he couldn't get it out of his psycho mind, that the oldest child was his. He's unhinged, dude. He's unhinged. All right, he was in court yesterday. I mean, my goodness. And let's face it, this is not a dumb individual. He's a vascular surgeon, dude. He's licensed in several states. I saw something where he owns quite a bit of property in Nevada. He's worth a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money. But all the money in the world is not going to get him out of what he's done, because the evidence is coming in, and in.
Information in the double
It's like a damn tidal wave of shit coming through.
murder of a Columbus couple. This afternoon, the suspect, Michael David McKee, appearing in court in Rockford, Illinois. He is charged in the premeditated murders of Spencer and Monique Tepe.
Tonight, we're learning that McKee waived his right for an extradition hearing. Our Aaron Simonek is hearing from the Tepe family as we wait for his return to Ohio. But first, let's start with Steve Levine, who sat in the courtroom as McKee faced a judge for the first time. Steve?
I was in that packed courtroom this afternoon. The hearing lasted just a few minutes. McKee was in shackles, showed no emotion as this judge was asked to return him to Ohio to face those murder charges.
Your name, sir, for the record? Michael McKee.
39-year-old Michael McKee said little during his extradition hearing in this Rockford, Illinois courtroom. His murder charge is now upgraded to aggravated murder with premeditation, which could include the death penalty. In court, McKee did not fight being sent to Ohio.
Mr. McKee believes that.
I saw one clip where he's all like humming and shit, and like rocking around like he's Ray Charles. He looks like a dumb ass idiot. Okay? I'm trying to describe who he reminds me of. Someone said like Lord Farquaad or something like that. Peter Griffin. I don't know. He's a creep is what he is. He is a creep.
The most expeditious manner in which he may defend himself against the charges pending in Ohio and to plead not guilty would be to waive his right to an extradition hearing and to have a governor's warrant and to agree to his immediate transportation to Ohio.
McKee is accused of murdering his ex-wife Monique Tepe and her husband Dr. Spencer Tepe, a dentist. The couple was found shot to death in their Wyland Park home.
Listen, stalkers. If any stalkers are listening, there's more than one fish in the pond, okay? If you want proof of how anybody can get laid, look at Dawn and Candace Wells, okay? Look at Sarah and Stacey Wandra. Anybody can find a significant other. All right? Welcome back, Sister Connie.
December 30th, while their two children were sleeping just feet away, they were unharmed. McKee arrested in Rockford Saturday, where he worked as a vascular surgeon. Neighbors here shocked. The high-profile manhunt ended in their town.
That's pretty wild. Rockford's not like that, like a hiding spot or not like that. I think Rockford's pretty good, so it's pretty crazy.
Just days after the deadly shooting, police releasing video of a person of interest. Columbus police say they matched a car owned by McKee to a spot near the Tepe's home around the time of the murders, and then tracked that vehicle to Rockford, some 450 miles from the murder scene. ABC6 first report details of Michael and Monique's divorce after obtaining the decree. Michael and Monique married in 2015. The marriage ended less than 2 years later. The divorce granted to Monique on the grounds of incompatibility. Now, the sheriff's office here says it's now working with local authorities in Franklin County to have McKee transported back to Ohio. A hearing is set for next Monday on an update on his being sent back to the Buckeye State, but it's possible he could be back in Ohio before then. We're live in Rockford, Illinois. Steve Levine, ABC 6 News.
And Steve, I'll take it from here. What we do know, the family of Spencer and Monique do say they are glad and fortunate.
Imagine being one of his patients. Think about that. Somebody that he did surgery on, knowing that the person that you entrusted your life to, okay? I mean, you're at the brink of death under anesthesia, and this person is operating on you, and then it hits national news. I'm talking CNN, Fox, MSNBC, NBC, CBS, ABC, News Nation, all over social media, and you're like, that guy operated on me. That is scary, dude. That's scary. Now, I'm not saying don't go to the doctor. I'm not saying don't have surgery. I'm not saying get all crazy and paranoid. But I'm saying that would freak me out. That would freak me out. Angel P said maybe she was just civil with him and he took it differently. That's what I'm going to guess for now until more comes up, because they still were supposedly friendly with each other. So they're incompatible as far as being married, but remained friends. That's all I know. For now.
That they can focus on remembering them and remembering their legacy. Their interment scheduled earlier today. Now, this does come as Mr. McKee is being held still in Illinois, some 450 miles away. But the major question remains, what was his motive?
Why is just one of the questions we still have for Columbus police, who were not talkative on Monday. We sent them a list, including how was McKee located? When will he be back in Franklin County custody? Did he act alone? Any text conversations with McKee and the victims? How long did police know where McKee was until they could gather all the evidence to arrest him? I'm told those questions won't be answered right now to maintain the
We do not plan on having any media availability regarding this today. We cannot answer some of the questions you have in order to maintain the integrity of the ongoing investigation. As far as when he'll be brought back to Franklin County, we have not received that information yet. So reporters, journalists are asking the police, do you have text messages between them? Like, they're wanting to get all the deets, if you know what I mean. And they're not saying no comment. They're just saying, you get it later. Probably going to save it for trial because they don't want it any messier than it already is.
integrity of the investigation. We found McKee is nearly untraceable on all social media platforms. He has just a few traffic violations on his record in Franklin County. Now 2 murder and aggravated murder charges. I couldn't find any criminal history under his name in Illinois. Court records show McKee's current address was listed at a condo complex overlooking Franklin Park in Chicago, just steps from the Lincoln Park Zoo. The Tepe's family and friends laying them to rest Monday as the legal process begins for Monique's ex-husband. Hundreds filling the walls of Schrodinger Northwest in Upper Arlington Sunday to honor Spencer and Monique. ABC6 was not there at the time of the visitation out of respect to the family's privacy. Spencer's brother-in-law, Rob Misla, told me it was a beautiful service with the focus on Spencer and Monique's legacy. McKee's arrest bringing the family a sense of peace. They divorced more than 8 years ago. Monique focused on raising her 2 children she shared with Spencer. An ideal family, smiling in every photo, with plenty of unanswered questions this week.
Now, that question remains that many friends and family are wondering what was the motive behind this suspect's actions. I reached out to several friends and family of the Tepes, including the dental office where Dr. Tepe worked. They said that they are respecting the family's privacy and they wish to not comment on camera at this time. This does come as a GoFundMe has exceeded $211,000. $100,000 as of Monday evening. For now, reporting live on your side here in Columbus, Aaron Simonek, ABC 6 News.
All right, thank you, Aaron. And Monique was married to McKee for less than 2 years. They tied the knot back in August of 2015, and their divorce agreement was approved in June of 2017, a month after Monique filed. But the case was reopened in June of 2025. We're still working to learn exactly why that is. Court documents indicated the divorce was amicable, listing no major contentious issues between Michael and Monique. Monique was granted the divorce on grounds that the parties were incompatible. McKee was awarded their Virginia home. The agreement included a standard mutual temporary restraining order, which is common for divorces such as this one related to assets and property.
That could be your motive. The divorce was reopened in 2025, maybe because of assets. Now, I don't know anything about the laws in Virginia, marital laws. Maybe Big T can help me. It seems to me that the only reason it could be reopened, not because you want to get back together, it could only be for assets. Because let's face it, he has a lot of assets. A lot of assets. He'd already been awarded the house in Virginia. It was said that she was homesick. She went to Ohio. She met Spencer on a some app called Bumble. I believe I read in an article. I don't know what that is. And so last summer it was reopened. Maybe that's what set him up. Woo, 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 woo. Well, Dr. Grande, he does his psychological analysis of this and what he thinks could be the reasoning. He's obviously more of an expert than me. Let's see what he has to say.
I will offer an update on the case of Spencer and Monique Tepe. First, I'll look at the background of this case, move to the timeline of the crime, then offer my analysis. Spencer Tepe was born in 1988 and lived in Columbus, Ohio. In 2012, he earned a bachelor's degree in biology and Spanish from the Ohio State University. In 2017, he graduated from that school's College of Dentistry with a Doctor of Dental Surgery. Spencer found work as a dentist and eventually ended up at the Athens Dental Depot in Athens, Ohio, 75 miles southeast of Columbus. At some point, Spencer became romantically involved with a woman named Monique, who had once been married. Years earlier, in August 20.
Edwina 10 said maybe he lied about assets when they divorced. I wouldn't be surprised because, well, for obvious reasons, he's a shady dude. Question is, all these years later, why did it become a focus to reopen the divorce and start looking at marital assets when the marriage is already dissolved? Something is going on, and of course, I can only speculate. And at this point, I'm just going to say getting his stuff, in quotes, could be what set him off.
In 2015, she married a surgeon named Michael David McKee. 7 months later, in March 2016, Monique filed a complaint for divorce, indicating that she and her husband were incompatible. Divorce proceedings started in May 2017 and were completed in June of that year. By this time, Monique was living in Westerville, Ohio, just north of Columbus. Michael was living in Roanoke, Virginia, working as a vascular surgeon. The separation agreement required that Monique would pay Michael almost $1,300 for miscellaneous debt. Monique and Michael paid their own attorney fees, and Monique paid an additional fee to get a private judge to speed up the divorce.
Miscellaneous fees. Listen, this woman already bought their wedding rings. Just split the sheets. You have no children together. He's getting the house. He's on the fast track to become a surgeon. So was he obsessed with her, or was he pissed about stuff? As in, I've got rental properties, I've got a practice, I've got a lot of money, and you're not getting any of it.
The couple agreed to a mutual temporary restraining order, requiring them to refrain from harassing, interfering with, assaulting, or doing bodily harm to the other. Monique's unpleasant experience in her marriage did not discourage her from getting married again. On January 30, 2021, she and Spencer Tepe married. The couple would go on to have a girl and a boy. The family lived in a 2,500 square foot, two-story house on North 4th Street in Columbus, Ohio. Now moving to the timeline of the crime. On December 30, 2025, Spencer Tepe failed to show up at work, prompting the owner of the dental practice where he was employed, Mark Valros, to contact the police at 8:58 a.m. for a welfare check. At 9:22 a.m., the police arrived at the wrong house to conduct the welfare check. There was no answer at the front door or the back door, and the officer left. About a half hour later, a friend of Spencer's named Alexander Diddy arrived at the Tepe family house. He called 911 at 9:56 a.m. and said he could hear children inside the house and thought he heard one yell. The police were dispatched again. At 10:03 a.m., prior to the police arriving, Alexander called 911 again with a disturbing update. He said, quote, "There's a body. Our friend wasn't answering his phone. We just did a wellness check. We just came here and he appears dead. He's laying next to his bed, off of his bed in this blood. I can't get closer to see more than that," unquote. The police arrived 1 minute later at 10:04 a.m. They tried something different this time and went to the correct house. They found both Spencer and Monique dead in an upstairs bedroom. Spencer had been shot multiple times, and Monique had been shot at least one time in the chest. They were pronounced dead at 10:11 a.m. The couple's 4-year-old daughter and 1-year-old son were not harmed. The family dog, a golden doodle, was also not harmed. The authorities have not provided the exact number of gunshots involved in the murders, but they did indicate that 3 spent 9mm cases were found at the scene. If one were to assume that no cases were retrieved by the killer, this means that Spencer was shot twice and Monique was shot once. No murder weapon was found, which led the police to believe that the shooter could not have been Spencer or Monique. A mysterious intruder must have killed the couple, one who did not force entry into their house. The police released video surveillance of a person who appears to be a man walking in an alley near the Tepe family home, indicating this individual was a person of interest. The man was wearing a dark hooded sweatshirt and light pants. He was walking with his hands in his pockets and at one point pulled down his hood or touched his face. The double homicide of Spencer and Monique Tepe was both mysterious and worrisome. Some people wondered if the case would ever be solved, and they were concerned that others could be in danger. Maybe this killer would enter other houses and commit more homicides. There were many theories.
That's what would freak me out before knowing that one way or another they're connected to the killer. I would be like, there's a homicidal maniac in the neighborhood that knows how to get into people's houses because there's no forced entry. Nobody broke a window. Nobody broke down a door. Nobody forced their way into the house. But again, the police said text messages between, I'm going to go ahead and say the couple and McKee are not going to be brought out anytime soon. And the rest of their surveillance is not going to be brought out anytime soon.
About the identity of the killer. Some people believed that he must have known the couple. Others thought that he was a stranger who randomly attacked them. On January 10, 2026, the police removed some of the mystery from this case by arresting Monique's 39-year-old ex-husband, Michael David McKee, and charging him with 2 counts of murder. The authorities indicated that video surveillance in the neighborhood allowed them to track a suspect to a motor vehicle that arrived just before the homicides and left shortly after the homicides. This vehicle was identified and connected to Michael. The police found the vehicle in Rockford, Illinois, and uncovered evidence that Michael was in possession of the vehicle both before and after the homicides. Investigators believe that the murders occurred at 3:52 a.m. Now moving to my analysis. Here are my thoughts on a few areas that stood out to me in this case. Item number 1. Michael David McKee was born on June 29, 1986. At the time of the murders, he lived in an apartment building in Chicago.
These are young people with fabulous careers and everything going for them. Yes, there's rumors of money struggles. Who hasn't had that? Who hasn't had a little bit more month than money? But I mean, these are, I mean, by all looks of it, these are what you would call overachievers. Monique certainly is. Hell, she married 2 doctors. What made him do this? Money? Resentment? Love? Not saying anything excuses it. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. What on earth set him off the rails?
Chicago, Illinois. This is 325 miles from where Spencer and Monique lived in Columbus, Ohio. Michael worked as a surgeon at a hospital in Rockford, Illinois, 86 miles west of Chicago. He had no criminal record. Michael was licensed to practice in both Illinois and California, and at one time had been licensed in Nevada. As I mentioned, he once worked in Virginia as well. One of Michael's neighbors spoke to the media and indicated, quote, "He didn't seem like someone who would do something like this," unquote. She also said, quote, "I sat down with this man. I talked to him at the pool, barbecuing about what a beautiful day it is. And then he turned out to be a killer. It's kind of shocking," unquote. This bewildering barbecue banter betrayal may be the first of many baffling behavioral breakdowns. Most people would not expect a surgeon to transform into a killer. Item number 2. In my original video about this double homicide, I offered my thoughts about the characteristics of the killer. Let's see how those thoughts align with the news that Michael McKee was arrested. I thought that the killer was someone who knew Spencer and Monique personally. This was based on the idea that random attacks are rare and the fact that there was no forced entry into the Tepe family house. At the very least, Michael knew Monique personally. He'd lived with her for 7 months and was married to her for 2 years. It also stands to reason that he knew who Spencer was, even if he did not know him personally. Like Michael realized that Monique was married to Spencer. I thought the motive for the double murder was not robbery. Rather, the killer's motive was revenge, jealousy, anger, or resentment. There is no evidence that Michael robbed the couple. It seems clear that if he is guilty, he specifically targeted Spencer and Monique due to destructive emotions. Unfortunately, sometimes when people get divorced, they just refuse to let the relationship go. And I theorize that the killer was calm under pressure because he was not running when he was captured on video. Michael was a surgeon, a career choice that demands a low level of anxiety. Many surgeons have subclinical psychopathy, just like police officers, soldiers, and skydivers. Nobody wants to be treated by a surgeon who is hysterical. Item number 3. If Michael McKee is guilty, as the police allege, this answers many of the original questions about this case, but it also introduces a new set of questions. For example, Michael knew Monique.
Virginia Woolf is saying, I'm going to say more shots on Spencer, because right now they have not said exactly how many wounds Spencer had. We know she had 1. That is one thing that they seem to be ironclad on. Jealousy. It's like Susan always says, both things can be right. It could be a culmination. There's a 50-cent word. A culmination of things. Jealousy, money. You've already got people breaking down the wedding pictures going, okay, look at her with McKee. And she's like standing there like she's made to be there. Then you see her with Spencer, and she seems elated, super happy, super happy.
Well, at one time, but they had been divorced for 8 years. How did he gain access into her house? Certainly, Monique would not have given him a key or an access code. This is a woman who paid extra money to get divorced from Michael faster, who agreed to a restraining order, and who referenced a wrong relationship during her wedding vows. Presumably, she was talking about her marriage to Michael. Was Michael still in contact with Monique despite all this? The Tepe family dog, a golden doodle, may not have barked when Michael allegedly made entry. This suggests the dog was familiar with him. Again, how would this be possible? It's also possible the dog didn't bark at anybody. People usually don't buy a golden doodle to function as a guard dog. They are pretty much the opposite of a German Shepherd or a Rottweiler. Considering how Michael had been divorced from Monique for 8 years and separated for longer than that, why did he allegedly murder her?
I'm going to disagree with Grande here. No, nobody gets golden doodle to be a guard dog, but dogs are going to bark unless they know the person in the house. Okay? There's a difference between because there's stranger danger, or they just lay there going, yeah, I know that person, or they get excited because that person pets them and plays with them. But no, dogs definitely notice when something different's going on. Okay? Hell, even OJ knows when someone is here that he does not know. True story. Blue Jay, does multiple mean over 4 or 5? It means more than one. That is the legal definition of multiple gunshot wounds, more than one. So it could be pew, pew, and it's called multiple gunshot wounds.
Murders of women perpetrated by a former male lover occur soon after the relationship falls apart. For example, 50% of women killed by ex-partners are killed within 2 months after the separation, and 85% are killed within a year of separation. Michael allegedly waited much longer than expected, suggesting that he could not stop thinking about Monique. This brings me to item number 4. What do I think happened in this case? This is just a theory, my opinion. When Monique and Michael married in August 2015, they had a dream of a long life together. Very few people get married with the intention of getting divorced. Rather, divorces are viewed as an unexpected outcome, one that may become necessary due to behavior the spouses did not predict. If a newly married couple discovers severe problems in the relationship right away, they will typically fight through adversity to make the marriage work. Nobody wants to surrender immediately and resign themselves to a divorce. There's also an embarrassment component to this. They don't want family and friends to view them as somebody who could not hold a marriage together. After trying to work things out for a few years, the couple may finally decide to give up. At least they can say they gave it a good effort. They tried their best to save the marriage. Nothing was going to make it work. It was doomed. The average couple who divorces was married for 10 years. This tells me that whatever went wrong in the marriage between Monique and Michael, it happened quickly, and it was undeniably drastic. Monique must have looked at Michael and thought, there is no way this marriage is going to function in the long run. This is so bad, I'm not going to wait and give it a chance. Michael made such a poor impression, Monique left him just 7 months after their wedding. This is lightning fast in the world of separation and divorce. Monique wasn't against marriage in general. She just didn't want to be married to Michael for even a second longer.
He is so dry when he talks, but for some reason, he really makes me laugh. He's like, most couples divorce around the 10-year mark. I've given it my all. Done. Some people call it the 7-year itch. Done it. Done it. Honeymoon over. No more flowers on Valentine's Day. Sick of picking up your dirty drawers. Then here comes old Dr. Grande.
after 7 months, she didn't want to be married to him a second longer. Goodness.
Wow. I gotta hear that again. Look, there's nothing funny about it because Monique is dead. Okay, but okay, Dr. Grande, break it down.
She didn't want to be married to him a second longer.
Undeniably drastic. Monique must have looked at Michael and thought, there is no way this marriage is going to function in the long run. This is so bad, I'm not going to wait and give it a chance. Michael made such a poor impression, Monique left him just 7 months after their wedding. This is lightning fast in the world of separation and divorce. Monique wasn't against marriage in general. She just didn't want to be married to Michael for even a second longer. Even though Monique was confident that she made the right decision, Michael may have been left confused and upset by the rapid disintegration of the marriage. He may have asked himself questions like, why did she leave me so quickly? Why didn't she give us time to work out our differences? Michael may have had a lot of strong feelings of connection to Monique. Regardless of these feelings, he should have accepted her decision, but it appears as though he did not. Over the course of years, he kept thinking about her, wondering what their relationship could have been like if they stayed together. He was angry and resentful. He may have looked at Spencer, Monique's new husband, and felt as though she picked a similar replacement. She traded in a surgeon to get a dentist. Both men graduated from The Ohio State University, and they both spoke Spanish. The men were only 2 years apart in age. Michael perceived Spencer as a man who took everything from him, even though Michael was divorced from Monique for 4 years before Spencer married her. At some point, Michael decided to murder Spencer and Monique. He carried out the crime in a way that initially appeared consistent with careful planning, like the case was a big mystery. But Michael was actually unsophisticated and clumsy. He used a car that could be connected to him, and he left spent cases behind. The police arrested him not even 2 weeks after the murders. Given the amount of time that Michael must have ruminated about the homicides, he is probably not that upset about being caught. Michael knew that he would be the obvious suspect. He was willing to risk prison or even the death penalty to get his revenge. In his mind, the murders represented justice, so he has nothing to be ashamed of. Now moving to my final thoughts. As I mentioned, surgeons tend to have low neuroticism. This personality trait has 6 facets: anxiety, angry hostility, depression.
Before he gets to it, anybody ever worked for a surgeon? Worked for a doctor. I don't mean the doctor that tells you to eat an apple and an aspirin a day, okay? A lot of them, I bet Angel P has, they have somewhat of a God complex. Okay, I mean, ask Daisy. I mean, how many times has she assisted in brain surgery? She talked about brain dust getting on her. She said they basically use a skill saw with an S, SAWLL. Use a skill saw to get into the brain. I'm going to go ahead and take a leap of faith and say she's full of shit. But they do have somewhat of a God complex. Okay? They really do. And then some know how to put it to the side. That could be another component of this. Karma said they definitely think they are God's gift. And I'll tell you what, if I'm being put under, they better be God's gift. They better be God's gift, okay? Because I don't want to be coming out with a sponge and a scalpel and all kinds of shit left in me.
Justice. So he has nothing to be ashamed of. Now moving to my final thoughts. As I mentioned, surgeons tend to have low neuroticism. This personality trait has 6 facets: anxiety, angry hostility, depression, self-consciousness, impulsiveness, and vulnerability. For most people, the facet scores of any personality trait, including neuroticism, tend to group together. For example, someone high in anxiety would probably be high in depression as well. Every now and then, however, we see a person who has several FACET scores that cluster and one score that deviates. Perhaps that is what happened with Michael. He was able to function as a surgeon because he had low neuroticism FACET scores, except for angry hostility. This is a worrisome score distribution because it grants a person a psychopathic level of calmness and precision, but a decision-making apparatus based on emotions. Those are my thoughts on the case of Spencer and Monique Tepe. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon.
She didn't want to be married to him a second longer. Most people divorce around the 10-year mark, or they start having major problems, and it goes downhill from there. Hang on, I gotta sneeze. I actually have a real sneeze, not a fake sneeze like you, OJ. Virginia. I wonder what Dr. Grande is like behind the scenes. I bet he's the one that pulls his pants down and sits on the copy machine and takes like pictures of his butt and puts a lampshade on his head. I bet he is a barrel of monkeys. I can just see it. I'd party with him. How about you guys? I would. All right, so they are saying there is an avalanche of evidence. So this is coming from an inside source, not my source. No. Oh, by the way, Beigefield is leaving News Nation. I'm just going to assume because her podcast is taken off.
Can't wait to get to my next guest on this because Matt Murphy's a former homicide prosecutor and author of The Book of Murder, A Prosecutor's Journey Through Love and Death. Matt, thanks so much for coming on. You know, the footprints outside the house, it bothers me so much because it was snowy in Columbus. And that would have been something that they could actually see, track, and then match to footwear if they could find it in, you know, Dr. McKee's home in Chicago.
Ideally, you're right. But you know what, Ashley, there's always mistakes made in cases like this. And every murder case is like a collage of evidence. It's the accumulated weight of everything that they have. And snow is tricky. In Southern California, as you can imagine, we don't get too many of those. I actually learned in a Bigfoot documentary, believe it or not, snow is tricky because when it freezes and melts in consecutive cycles, they tend to grow. And you can imagine what a defense lawyer could do with that. Blood is better. I have done those. I've done socked impressions where somebody's wearing socks and they.
Go ahead. I wasn't there. I'm gonna tell you right now. There's a lot of blood. There's a lot of blood, and I mean a lot of blood. And either someone's been studying or watching Goodfellas quite a bit, because let's face it. From the beginning, it appeared that this was a professional hit. Their words, not mine.
Step in blood, but remember, this is going to be an accumulation. So right now, there's some FBI agent, literally as we speak, pouring through this guy's computer records, cell phone records. They're looking at cell phone towers. Given the distance that he drove, he had to stop for gas, assuming, you know, he's presumed innocent, but assuming they got it right. So there's an avalanche of evidence coming that we have not heard yet. So, and of course, you're right.
I'm going to talk about that, Matt. In just a second, I'm going to talk to, like, in the next block, I'm literally going to run through all this digital and electronic evidence. But I'm still kind of stuck on the footprints, not maybe just outside, but also inside the house, because there could have been shoe impressions made inside the house as well, maybe on the carpet, maybe in blood. But it's compromised by the people who got there because the police didn't. So I was worried about that. But I'm also thinking about shoe track.
Okay, I want to talk about that. So looking through the window, they obviously know it's not good. As in, your friends are with Jesus. I mean, that's a good, it's good to be with Jesus, but it's usually Jesus's turn to call you up. Well, his daddy's. So they go in, and it will be a defense attorney's wet dream to talk about, because it's what defense attorneys do. I'm not saying it's going to work. I'm not saying I want it to work, but it's a defense attorney's wet dream when a crime scene is compromised.
Treads. I have seen murder cases where a shoe tread is actually looked at for what's stuck inside the tread, material from the crime scene. They might have had special gravel put on their back, patio area that suddenly would show up in Chicago if that's the case. Are these the kinds of details that police are going after right now, like literally going down to the granular?
Oh, you bet they are. So any shoes that he's got are, I guarantee they're already in police custody. And they're going to be looked at by forensic. And what they're going to look for is what's called GSR, or gunshot residue. Another thing to remember is when somebody has a firearm, he's got quite a jawline, doesn't he, this guy? When somebody has a firearm, it's not like TV where it's just a gun. Guns come along with gun boxes and cleaning equipment and ammunition. And what's really interesting, Ashley, is there is a system known as NIBIN. And that's the National Ballistics database, where they take shell casings, assuming it's a semi-automatic handgun. We don't know that yet. But the shell casings that get expended on those, they're like DNA for firearms. And as DNA got all the glory, it's been like the rock star of forensic science. Very quietly, there's been huge forensic advancements in ballistic technology where they microscopically can match the grooves. We just had that in the Ashley Buzzard case in California. The tiny little microscopic grooves from the expended empty shell casing that gets ejected from the gun. And that is incredibly persuasive in front of a jury, having done those murder cases before. So it's going to be an accumulation of evidence here, and I can't wait to see what they got.
Thank you for watching.
You get tired of Fredo popping in at the end. Something like the minute he comes in, thank you for watching. I'm like, goodness. All right, y'all. That's the update. We're going to continue to follow this because, of course, there's going to be a lot more details that come out. But for right now, that is the update. They will be extraditing McKee from Illinois to Ohio. He is charged with double M, if you know what I mean, double M. And they will get more into what the relationship not was, because we know they were married before, but how it transpired over the years. Okay? Now, before I go, we have another show at noon because the turd that won't flush, also known as Leilani Simon, is back. She's back. So if everybody, all 162 of you, can please grab that link and hit your reminder. Hit the buzzer. Flip the tube. However you do it. And get ready, because she's back. She's back. Lilazy is back with her entitled self. I saw her, and it looks like she's got cornrows or something like that going on. She must have made some friends in the jail. Horrible, tragic what has happened to Spencer and Monique. I feel horrible for their children, which will have to read about this someday, because let's face it, the internet's forever, and they will someday want to know what happened to mom and dad. Their parents, brothers, sisters, nieces, nephew, friends, co-workers. It's horrible. And the question is, why? Because it's so senseless. Senseless. It really is. Boston said, oh boy, Leilani is back. Yep, Lilazy is back. Lilazy is back, and you won't believe the shit she's pulling now. There you go. There's the link again. And I will see you guys back here in roughly 2 hours.
You guys are the absolute best. Thank you for being here. You know me. Love you. Long time.